10 o'clock, all meeting in order. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get the motion to accept the minutes of February 15th?
I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Good motion to accept the financial report and payment of the bills.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. No amendments?
No, not tonight.
Okay. All right. Ken, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have really a brief talk tonight. I don't have a lot of things to discuss with you, but I just wanted to let you know that this past month has been real hectic for us doing reports. I mean, we've completed probably 10 extra reports this month, along with our normal reports, like all the sludge reports we're due this month, and the IPP reports, and we were just been slammed this last month. But that's kind of been one of the biggest things we've had to deal with. Some of the things we've been trying to get done at the plant, we've been like taking care of the lighting, just replacing burnt out lights, and we tested the hoist that we used to lift the equipment and to make sure that they're in good condition, and some of these are safety requirements that we're required to do per OSHA guidelines and things like that on the hoist and all. The facilities are both the water and wastewater plants running exceptionally, January and February, so I think we got a good start in 2012. And I wanted to, I have a check for the town. I want to give it to the mayor and council.
Anybody hear that? $218,000.
Wow.
Amen.
Well, I don't know how far to go, but it goes a ways.
Every little bit helps, right?
Every little bit helps, is right. Thank you. 217, 816, 73. Very, very good.
So, I'll give you an update on the.
Pull that a little closer to you, Ken.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll give you an update on the spiral lift screen. I met with Jim Backstrom, our engineer, 2 weeks ago, and he came down to go over the project with me, and it looks like it's going to be a go, and so I'm looking forward to moving forward with that project. So we'll get that. I don't have a definite date yet when we're going to start it, but it's on there. Hopefully it'll be this spring, and we'll get that installed. And
What is that?
the spiral lift screen,
okay.
the influence screen, and so we're going to do that in-house, and we're going to I believe we're going to contract out the electrical work for that. So I think we're going to be able to do it fairly reasonably.
Okay.
So that's really all I have to say.
All righty.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ken.
Ken, I just want to make a quick comment. I just really appreciate your efforts and working so hard and diligently for the town.
Thank you.
It's very apparent that you're really putting forth a huge effort in your facilities and management and so forth to help the town in what you're trying to achieve.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And the information you got to us about the the options, really appreciate that.
Excellent.
Thanks, Ken.
And Jeannie, I guess you're gonna give us architectural review?
We have a schedule for a certain time, it doesn't look like it. Agenda. This is here to present resolution R2 2012 Historic District Guidelines. A resolution of the Mayor and Commissioners of the Town of Elkton to adopt the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties with guidelines for preserving, rehabilitating, restoring, and reconstructing historic buildings. Whereas the Mayor and Commissioners have appointed a citizen reviewing body, the Historic and Architectural Review Committee, otherwise known as HARC, to exercise the powers and duties set forth under Article 66B, Section 8.01, Historic Area Zoning of the Annotated Code of Maryland and the Elkton Zoning Ordinance, Article 9, Zoning Districts, Part 3, Historic Overlay Zone, and whereas Article 66B, 8.06 requires adoption of design standards for rehabilitation and new construction by a local jurisdiction, whereas the HARC has determined that the specific standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings from the Secretary of Interior's standards and guidelines would provide guidelines in the evaluation and consideration by the HARC of factors associated with the issuance of a historic area work permit, and now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Commissioners as follows. The Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation and guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings as recommended by the Town of Elkton Historic and Architectural Review Committee is hereby approved and adopted. The HARC Committee at their meeting on January 25th unanimously recommended this action by the board.
So in other words,
Answer any questions you may have on that.
it's not as much as we were anticipated it had to be, that all those books and everything, so all they need to go by is these 10 items, basically, the guidelines.
Yeah,
That's
there
good.
are 10 guidelines. The book is actually, goes into more detail, explaining and illustrating the guidelines.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to accept resolution R2-2012?
Also move.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Hey, Jane, I have a question.
Oh,
Well, you got a few minutes. It's for old business.
oh, side, okay.
If you don't mind, if you-
Okay, Lois.
Okay, the first item I have is ordinance 1-200, I'm sorry, 2012. Pursuant to the board's direction to amend the ordinances to allow parking up to 4 p.m. rather than 4:30 as the current ordinance provides, I prepared an ordinance to amend chapter 10-16 parking schedules, and all the 2-hour limits have been changed to reflect 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. rather than the previous 4:30. Prior to that, it was 6 o'clock, so we're working our way to shortening those periods of time. It's presented tonight for introduction. I ask the board to accept it for introduction.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept this ordinance for introduction purposes only?
For introduction purposes only, I so move.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Ordinance 2-2012 amend section 10-12 parking meter zones. Chief of Police pointed out this to me, I had overlooked it, that it's consistent with the previous changes to 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll modify this section 10-12-060 of the chapter 10.12 for parking meters, and the time will be 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. also on all the streets where meters are located. I would ask the board, no other changes are made other than to send the parking, or limit parking till 4 p.m. rather than 4:30 p.m. ask the board to accept that for introduction.
Do I have a motion to accept ordinance 2-2012 for introduction purposes only?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next item I have is the state highway. The board is well aware that the state highway is working on an improvement project on Delancey Road, which is Maryland 781. There's a number of changes that are going to be implemented from this project, but the primary change is the extension of a right turn lane between the access road to Williams Auto Mall and Suburban Drive. It doesn't exist now. It kind of comes over. It's going to be straight up. So right turning traffic will move in that thing, and there will be allow longer merge lane and allow right turning traffic to go into Suburban. Also, they're moving the sidewalk from the Williams Auto Mall side over to the other side, because that is a logical way to communicate the sidewalks between Chapel Run, Danford Drive, or Delancey Village, down to Royal Farms and across to go to Walmart or wherever they want to go. We'll have continuity of sidewalk. Well, pursuant to these changes, the state highway needs a fee simple sale or acquisition of land from the town. They need 63 thousandths of an acre, and they're willing to pay the town $9,068 for that. The perpetual easement for 89 thousandths of an acre. This is all along the Delancey Village there for $3,203. You need a temporary easement of 166 thousandths of an acre for $23.89, and we're going to throw in $100 for some 3 shrubs that we'll have to replace. The total acquisition for easements and fee simple property to the town would be $14,800. This is based on an appraisal done on behalf of the State Highway Administration. I would recommend the town agree to the sale of the property easements to the State Highway so they can proceed with these improvements. Actually, the improvements are based on a request by the town to improve this area, so they're working on it. We don't have to pay for the construction of it, they pay for that. All we're doing is selling them sufficient land so they can have a road width.
And it's going out for bid or this month to open the
I
construction?
think June, I think he.
Well, construction time is to be in June, just when the
For construction.
summer, be in June sometime, they said, probably.
I think it was. So I'll start pretty soon. They have money for construction.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the fee simple property on Delancey Road and the,
I make a motion to accept the fee sample property on Delancey Road.
I have a second?
Second?
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
The resolution, the next one's
There's all kinds of money
resolution, R1, 2012. This resolution formally adopts a employee safety committee. Every member of every department, not every member, a member from each department of the town will participate actively in a safety committee, and the purpose of that is to mitigate risk to employees and obviously to the public. The insurance companies have asked that we formally establish a committee in order for this to proceed in a logical manner. We have risk management manuals from the local government insurance trust, and we have guidelines for protecting employees through IWIP, Injured Workers Insurance Fund, who insures our employees. I would ask the board to give serious consideration to adopting this resolution in order to formally establish an employee safety committee for the town of Elkton.
okay, I have a motion to accept resolution 1-2012.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think it's very essential in any endeavor that you work, that you have a committee such as this to have safety guidelines and everything else for the employees. So we shouldn't be remiss in not having the same.
But this also falls in line with legit things that they've also have pointed out that we recommended that we should have, so we're right in line with them as well. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Last item I have, the town, oh, I'm sorry, this next, I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Elkton Alliance, you're all familiar with the Elkton Alliance, and they're having the Citizens of the Year Award, a very special person this year in particular. And it's being held on the 29th in this building, and in order to have those activities be totally successful, they had asked for a waiver, the traditional waiver, and I would ask the board to give consideration to granting the Elkton Alliance a waiver in this particular case to celebrate this particular occasion that is extra special this year.
All right, a motion to accept the alcohol waiver.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Last item I have, the town was successful in getting a $85,000 energy grant from the Maryland Energy Administration some months ago, and we've decided in order to shorten the amount of time it would take to have this project done, to purchase what's called variable frequency drives and controls for the finished water pumps at the Elkton Water Treatment Plant, rather than hire a contractor to do it because it would take much longer time. The KCI prepared the specs and released those specs, and I was hoping that we'd have more than one, but we did get one bid, and I'm going to ask the board to tentatively accept the bid from a company. Company's name, I don't know this company myself, but it's a company called, hang on, I got it down here. I'm not familiar, it's some global company. Company's called Danfoss. I pulled them up on the internet. They're one of those Nego companies that do specialized work. The VFDs will be ordered separately by the town, and they are captured under the energy grant. The bid that we received from Danfoss is for $70,219, and our grant that we received, or we hope to receive, is for $85,000, so it will cover those grant costs. I would ask the board again to tentatively approve this bid from Danfoss, and contingent on the engineer's review and approval, and the approval by the Maryland Energy Administration. We have the approval of both those parties will proceed to have them order that equipment.
Okay. Do we have a motion to tentatively accept the bid for the grant thing?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That's it for me. Yes, that's all.
I have one question on that, if you don't mind. Louis, since this was an energy grant from the state, is the person contractor required to have, be licensed through the state for the energy project?
For the VFDs, VFDs aren't coming from the state, they're coming from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
There is no bidders from Maryland. The labor will be subject to Davis-Bacon and all that, and these are subject to Buy America and all those standards, because it's actually error money that's coming through MEA, and then that's where we got it from, so it's Fed money. So you have to have all the standards apply. But they're not that, there's no manufacturers of this equipment, local,
Okay.
special custom equipment.
Okay. That it?
That's it.
Okay.
Sorry.
All business. I have one in regards to the rec center. I received a letter, I guess it was Thursday, from the county executive, David R. Craig, in Harford County. He saw our article in the Cecil Whig about the community center, And he said that he read the enclosed article about the community center for Elkton. As a former mayor for 10 years, I can appreciate your desire to provide key services. If you would like to tour one of ours, or all of the center's facilities, one each in Hartford or Haverty Grace, and one in Bel Air, and then one in Falston, feel free to give me a call and arrange a trip down, and we will be glad to set it up for you. I didn't know before, I know Mary has got the okay to go ahead with the Mark Clark, but I thought maybe the opportune time, since he's invited us down, if anybody would, we all could get together one afternoon or maybe even on a Saturday or something like that, and he would arrange it that we could take a tour of and give us a general idea of one in the local area that we could take a look and see, take Mary down. I mean, it's just an idea. If you don't want to, that's fine too, but I need to get back to him, let him know that we're not coming, or we would like to get an idea and get an insight, give us more ideas to what we want to do before we design this thing.
I'm just trying to figure whether or not we already have decided on what we have our floor plan, and if we start looking and starting to get other ideas, it's just going to change the floor plan and what we already discussed. I'm just bringing that up as a
Well, he hasn't. I
point.
mean, that's why before we made the decision, before we make the change with Mark.
I think
That's what I'm saying.
I had mentioned the same thing earlier. I don't know who was involved with when you went to look at Snow Hill. Charlie, did you visit there?
I visited Snow Hill on my own though.
Okay.
Clyde.
5-9, actually.
Oh,
And that's true.
okay. Because I know that was what
That's
the
right.
original plan was designed after, and now we're just talked about making that smaller.
All right, that's fine. I'll
So
tell him.
I don't know what anybody else thinks. I'm just,
If everybody
I
wants
just thought it'd be
to.
nice, if before we expand, we'd had some ideas, we might see something different we want to add to it. That's all, I mean, I want to make sure we're going to do this, we're going to do it right, first time, but if you don't want to go, that's fine.
no, I'm not saying me, don't, I'm just had a question.
Okay.
I don't know
And I
what
think, so
anybody
I'd
else
like to
wants
get back to him and let him know if it's a go or whatever we want to do. So he'd make the arrangements for us.
Whatever.
So,
Consensus.
what do you guys think? 'Cause
I mean, I wouldn't mind a visit just for the sake of visit, because I guess that's part of me, but I like what we have. Certainly, where is his building in Haverty Grace, because you got Haverty
Yeah,
Grace.
well, I'd say if I could look at the one in Haverty Grace and the one in Bel Air. Because those probably might be on the same size as some that we're looking at. Because I've never been down there, I don't know.
Me either.
So it might be an eye-opener to give us a general thing where we can tell Mark, before we go ahead and get the final design on it.
Will the
That's what I'm
price
just
be
looking at.
the same of a whole new design than just altering the one we have? I'm thinking there might be different.
Well, it might not be, I don't know, but that's why, we've never seen one, I've got to look at them. I don't know.
I don't know.
So what would you like to do? I mean, I can call him and set something up? Or,
Personally, I'm in that area quite a bit. If I knew the address, it wouldn't matter to me. I'm willing to do what the board does.
You know, I don't think it would hurt, just to have, you know, observe and just have a view of what is already in place. I feel pretty confident about what we've already discussed and what we plan on moving forward with. Like I said, it's at your convenience. I'll definitely be willing to participate in that, for sure.
or all?
I'll go along with that.
All right. All right, then I'll give him a call, and then when would you like to do it? Do it sometime, we all get together during the week, or would you like to try and do it on a Saturday? Here you go, Saturday, one Saturday, we all take a trip down, and I wouldn't mind, that's fine with me. Is that all right?
I would be okay for the week if the board is okay with something in the late afternoon.
I would like doing a week too. late
Okay,
afternoon.
that's fine. All right, let me call him, and I'll get back with everybody and see what he says and what he can set up for us.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that's fine. Good. Mary Jo? Any old business?
No old business, no.
I have one thing, I asked Jeannie to stay, just to ask a question. There was a couple of concerns with some citizens about the firehouse. Is the final occupancy complete? Are they supposed to be moving in now. Last night there was some activities going on as far as trucks moving in and out, and some people said they weren't even aware that activity was being done at the firehouse at this time. The other thing is, they brought up to me this evening that the shrubbery, the bushes and landscaping hasn't been done. Are they allowed to move in now? And that's the question I'm asking them. They asked me to ask somebody on the board that would have that answer.
Yeah, I have to check with Craig, once they're finished the planning commission process, they deal with just the building department for the permits and occupancies. I haven't signed off on a final occupancy that I can recall for that building. But I have to ask Craig where they're at with their occupancy. Maybe they're getting occupancies in certain sections of the building. Sometimes that happens.
I know
I'll
that-
ask Craig and ask him to give you a call if you'd like.
And
Well-
they have been using the hall, that hasn't been closed.
Next, the hall's existing.
Right, right.
But there was a lot of activity was going on last night, and that's
Okay.
where it was stirred up this, and they asked me to go to the planning board and ask them.
Okay.
No, I can tell you they have been moving in the last couple of days because they put it out for all the volunteers and guys come over to help them. They're moving their offices, and then they want to move the engines over because the next phase is where the engines are now. That part of it's going to become another hall, become a smaller hall. Hall. They want to start getting that project working on next because that's like phase 2 of the whole project. Once they get everything cleared out of that engine bay there that's existing now, they will start working on that and making it into a smaller banquet hall and tearing some of the other buildings down. So that's what they're doing now.
Their main concern wasn't the movement, their main concern was occupying the space without the final occupancy.
Right. Okay. I'll ask Craig if he could give
Well, I
you
heard they did, but
status
no,
of
it's,
it.
so,
And I think it's it. Sorry to hold you
No
up.
problem.
Charlie, anything? Chuck?
Oh, this is old business, correct?
Yeah.
And forgive me if I missed the email on this, but I wanted to follow up with our pursuit in looking at some type of ordinance to address the vacant, the vacant properties. Have we gone forward with that?
Creating a new ordinance,
Just
or use existing ordinances?
pursue reviewing our existing, and if it calls for creating a new ordinance, as far as looking at our vacant properties and how long they're vacant, what we discussed at one of the...
I had discussed vacant properties with Craig, for example, the RMR property that came up.
Yes.
We can't do anything with RMR.
And I didn't want to specifically, again, single anyone out, but I would, because I have a couple of examples, one from Delaware, where I'm going to, I'll share with you, where they actually have an ordinance in place, a schedule of fees and so forth, for, depending on how long a property has been vacant, so that it's some type of asset to the town other than an eyesore or...
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because I did go through part of the code and I have something highlighted here on page 60-5, 9-2010, under the property nuisance abatement. It says responsibility for property management. Every owner of real property within the town is required to manage the property in a manner so as not to create or allow a public nuisance or to have an adverse impact on adjoining properties in the neighborhood.
Right.
So if that states that, if you're looking at a blighted area, that has an effect on the adjacent properties.
And that's why I believe that, our pursuit of looking at other options, or maybe adding to that, because it becomes a matter of interpretation. Even though we do have a clear-cut definition of blight,
Right.
But again, whether it impacts the neighboring properties and such, really is a matter of interpretation. And what I've seen in a lot of, or in other locations, is they have a fee schedule that tends to ignite more participation from the owners as far as making something happen with the properties.
I would love a workshop on that.
Sounds good.
So I guess my question is for us to at least continue to look at other options and maybe adding to what we already have or strengthening what we have in place.
That's good. Okay.
You worked in that position, where do you feel we are right now?
I think we need to add to it, in my opinion. Again, and I'll share with the zoning department examples from other areas. Again, where they set schedule fees. They define like how long the property has to be vacant, no activity, and then there's a fee for that. I mean, it can continue to. There are reasons that obviously that there's no construction or movement on a property. It could be a strictly financial, or it could be other things. But they give you, they provide the option for the property owners to give the town that information, or the municipality that information, whether it be strictly a financial thing, or they have an appeal process that they go through if it's in hardship or something like that. But it promotes growth, and it promotes, for the property not to be stagnant and become a blighted and eyesore and deterrent to the community.
So I guess ordinance actually defines the definition of blight then.
Or how it impacts the surrounding property.
Okay, good, yeah.
More so, because blight is blight, it's defined.
Chuck, do you have this information that we could do it in an upcoming workshop, or need a few weeks, or?
Well, I think it'll be more of a continued fact gathering thing that I'd like to see the zoning department take a closer look at. I know that just in my travels, I just gathered a couple of things from Delaware, and I'll share that with you.
One of the things you have to be careful, the Delaware laws may be different
Exactly.
now, and so
Exactly.
you cannot necessarily take mirror what they do, because
Exactly.
there may not be any legal backbone in Maryland to support it.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
don't want to get ourselves in any major lawsuits here.
Very true. Very true.
But I think what Chuck is saying is that we need to take more definitive steps to address what we have right here.
I
We
think
eliminate a lot of the problems that we
I
have.
think we can be more aggressive. In some cases, I'll give you a recent example. Got a complaint about a home in a residential neighborhood, and of course the code officer went up, and the people are gone. They just left. And it's in one of those limbo situations where the bank hasn't formally foreclosed and the owners are gone.
Right.
So there's nothing you can do to make that property better, because there's no person you can get a hold of. The bank,
Yeah, makes sense.
you can't go after the bank.
Right, because
I mean, and
they're going to show
more than one of those properties around town right now,
Absolutely.
given the economy we have.
Lewis, I think you could probably notify the bank if there's a mortgage on it, because they might want to come out and board it up and protect it.
Well, it wasn't boarded, it was just a condition of, a general condition of the property. I think, like siding and that type of thing, and yard and conditions and everything. I don't know.
It's a very time-consuming
Situations
process.
like that around.
Yeah, it takes a lot of extensive investigation work. So yeah, it's just something I think worth.
Beef it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's all.
Just definitely look at it
Yeah.
and see if we can address it differently.
Good. Okay. Got it?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. I have two more appointments, one for the Board of Zoning Appeals and one for Supervisor Elections. Bob Allwine, who wishes to be reappointed for the Board of Zoning Appeal. Making a motion to accept Bob Allwine for the Boards of Zoning Appeals.
So moved.
Oh, okay, first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And then for the Supervisor's Election, Faye Cumru, yeah. Cumrus?
Comedy.
Comedies, yeah. She'd like to be reappointed too, so get a motion to accept her for the Supervisors of Elections.
So move again.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carried. Just for everybody else's knowledge too, that we received a letter from Maryland Emergency Management informing us that town would receive reimbursement in the amount of $24,763.79 for the expenses incurred during the Hurricane Irene. So that represents 75% of what we've spent, I guess. Lewis, is that right?
They
Yeah.
reimburse 75% of eligible costs.
Okay.
We could spend $100,000, but only a certain portion of those costs are what are called eligible. Once those they have been defined, then and they have an amount, then 75% of that is covered. But that covers the majority of our costs.
That's good.
And those costs were incurred by the town for removal of debris up at the diversion dam, because as the board may remember, Hurricane Irene let the debris build up over the main channel and literally shut down water to the treatment plant. So we acted very quickly. And in one of those cases, they will thank the Maryland Department of the Environment because they gave me emergency authorization to do it right away, rather than going through a 6-month process. So the state government can, under certain circumstances, actually work with you. So in that case, appreciate it. Yeah.
That's good. So we're getting back some of our money that we incur, so that's a little bit helps, I'll tell you. Another thing is, found out from the State Highway Department that Route 40 and 213, which is a surprise, but it's going to be done. They're going to redo the whole intersection out there. They're going to put all new lighting up there and redo the whole thing, and probably hope it look like the one down by the Walmarts. So that's going to be done very soon. So it's going to be very nice.
It's just lighting.
Well, it's lighting on, but it's going to be nice. It's not going to help with the congestion. There. The other thing we did have, I asked the Highway Department to look at Whitehall Road in Maryland 213. Coming out of on Whitehall Road there, trying to cross over. They had everybody wants to go. It was green all one time. So everybody was going just every which direction. Somebody trying to make a right, somebody trying to make a left. Just backing things up. Plus we have numerous accidents. Well, I just asked them to put a new light with an arrow up there on both sides. Well, they went to a little bit extremes and put sidewalks in for us and put hand signals, new countdown hand signals in there. If you get a chance, go out there. It's really, really nice. Did a beautiful job out there. Really, really nice. So, and then the other big thing is, I guess, I had a meeting with Delegate Rudolph and the 3 mayors along 40. Let us know about the guardrails coming down Route 40. They're going to be coming from Perryville all the way down to the Delaware line. That's a federal project. Just want to get our opinions on it, and it's like $2.4 million, but just to have some guardrails down there for the fact that to prevent people from crossing over into the eastbound lane or westbound lane for head-on collisions. So that project should start sometime here soon. They'll be working at night, putting it in. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but they'll probably be starting down at Perryville, working their way up. So you'll see some of that going on. So, okay, I think that was it. Mary Jo?
The only new business I had someone call me today. Political signs are going out. There's one right by our fish pond on Main Street, and they passed your house, Norman, because I went to check on it after I received a call. And you know, I think we should just look out and make sure they're not on park property. And
Well, that one's, the particular is on state property.
that one is
The one I'm
state
thinking of, right next to our, right,
by the entrance
Judge,
to
it's
the.
legal for Judge, is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. It was dark. I don't know whose sign
It
it
was up
is.
there, but it's in the state highway.
Okay.
That reminds me, what about the letter to the editor? I saw the letter to the editor stating some signs were on the town park property and that the town was notified?
Yeah, but I.
Was that taken care of?
No, I didn't know anything about it because there's so many separate Park Place, I think.
You did get
Is that
it?
what it is? The
Yeah.
Public Works took them down?
Today?
Great.
No, we didn't authorize it. We don't
No,
authorize
no.
any signs
No.
on public property, so, but, those,
Okay.
night garments, I call them, they go out and
A lot of them out there. That it?
That's all.
Anything else? Charlie, anything?
First of all, I guess everybody knows Denny's closed.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't give a reason, but I know a couple of months ago, I know when Olive Garden came there, Denny said that they were doing bad. And I guess when Olive Garden had the the salad, the soup, and something for $7,
Oh, yeah.
that really doomed them. So I guess they're going, unfortunately, to lose the business.
Well, let me just say, I did call Lewis and ask him, because I was kind of shocked myself about them closing down. From what I understand, there was actual people inside having breakfast.
I
and all.
understand that, yeah.
And guys came in with the plywood and just told everybody, "Psst, out you go," and started putting
Yeah.
plywood up. Well,
Right in the middle of the Grand Slam.
Sam,
Yeah, and I actually did hear today that Ruby Tuesdays is doing much better since Olive Garden opened.
yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
I figured that too.
Well, good, but
That's good.
Yeah,
I guess Michelle or someone got in touch with Denny's, and the gentleman called me at the store and let me know the business has been bad for quite a few years, and they were trying to hang on, and he thought to give them 6 more months to try it out and see, and it didn't work, so he just said, called him up and said, shut it down. But all the people were transferred to
yeah.
Perryville and Northeast, so they all still have jobs.
It's Olive Garden's still obvious, because I know they brought the secretarial and administrative staff and the guidance department food up there the other day with soup, salads, but, you know, I guess that's their part of lobbying in the community.
It is. They
So, it's
bring
not a
lunch
bad
every
thing.
day
Have
somewhere.
you tried it?
Yeah, I've been there before. That's Earl's favorite store and yours too.
Oh, okay.
I don't like the salad. Comcast, what are they doing? They just sent something in the mail again today about adding channels.
New channels. I just opened it today.
Olive Tree Market.
Oh, tree.
I don't know, they said it today.
Joe, you know anything about Comcast
Yeah,
adding
43
additional
new
channels?
channels
The thing just came out today.
today.
And the flyer just came out today, they had new channels, 43 new channels
Yeah.
they're putting on.
Is that really the additional cost?
Some of them, no, most of them aren't. They've got some new premiums, but the rest of them are free.
Skate park, what's going on with that?
Skate park, we're putting, probably next week, I think, he said mid-March, we're putting the alarm system in there. Protect, because we've had it vandalized 2 times and serious damage to one of our pieces of equipment. So we have ADT putting in the alarm system.
Good.
And last but not least, Chief, your men were out this morning at 7 o'clock on South Street, High Street, and Collins Street. And certainly in the morning when you come through at 7 o'clock, there's certainly a large amount of traffic, because you can actually see cars coming through South Street from Delaware, go down High Street, and they go to North Street, and then they're on 279. So I guess that's the shortcut. But certainly there's a lot of traffic, and even though the stop signs are there, people become creatures of habit, and they just keep right on going. But the police department is out there, so that's going to make a difference, I think, in that area, because you never know when to find them.
Okay, good,
So they did a great job.
good.
That's it.
Chuck?
I was just gonna comment again on in the morning, when I come through town, there's a lot of presence, and that's very good in the perception of, running through Elkton as a shortcut, so I definitely appreciate that as well. That's it for me.
Good. Okay. Okay, Becky?
Okay, number 1. Have a piece. This is from 150 East Main Street. This is our book that we write once a month. And our thank you is go to Mr. Hicks for helping me with bingo. He did a wonderful job with helping me and calling bingo for me, because it gives me a relief. You don't understand from, doing everything else I have to do on my own, which is okay, because I enjoy it. But I want to really, really appreciate it. And I really want to thank Mr. Hicks in front of everybody for the job he did. And all the workers and all the volunteers that come bingo, make sure today in the meeting that I asked Mr. Hicks to be there Tuesday night at 6 o'clock.
Okay. You're very welcome, I appreciate it. You do a great job, please keep it up.
Thank you. I will keep it up. Mr. Piner, I want to thank you. I'm sorry I woke you the other day about the refrigerators and the gas stoves and things sitting on sidewalks out in Hollingsworth Manor. It's been going on for a couple months. I've been mentioning it, and nothing's been done about it. There's a lot that I've been mentioning that nothing has been done. And I got upset and depressed. And I thought, I'm not going to sit here and cry and have a heart attack over something stupid and let a little kid get killed, you know, because of this man. I'm going to call Mr. Piner. And I did, and Mr. Piner tended to it. It's pretty bad when we have to call Mr. Gibbons, Mr. Hicks, or Mr. Piner, or Mary Jo to get something done in this town. But they're the four that we really have to depend on to get anything done in the town of Elkton. Whatever you want to call it, because it's not a town. If it wasn't for Mary Jo, we wouldn't have anything in this town. There'd be nothing but drunks and dope alleys, which we have plenty of that on High Street every night. At the ball field where I live, every night. Nothing's ever done. It's not going to be done. I'm not going to wake up Mr. Gibbons, Mr. Hicks, and Mr. Piner and Mary Jo 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to call 911. My house ain't on fire. Don't have nobody there shooting. If they do, they'd be dead, especially if they come to my door. Because we can't call up the police department if we don't call 911. If you're not dead, you don't need an ambulance, your house ain't on fire, it's foolish to dial 911. It's a waste of time. What's your name? Where's your address? Where you live? What's the problem? No, I don't have time for all that. A kid could be killed or a child could be killed. We have plenty of them that walks up and down. We have a bus that stops in front of 150 East Main Street. They think 150 East Main Street is their stop. But today it was fixing. Cindy and I personally made a thing to where we're going to put up no bus people are allowed to sit on these benches. This is not a place for the bus, town of Elkton people to sit, smoke their pot, and get on the bus. This is for us to live in, and we have to live it the right way. I'm not going to wake up the 4 commissioners to get help. They have to work all day long, and they work very hard, just as hard as anybody else in this building, if not harder. I do miss Mr. Hicks out in Hollingsworth Manor. I don't live there, go there every day. I go there for reasons. One reason, I report to Mr. Piner. I have my reasons I go there. We have drugs on Road 14, it's been there for the last 14 years. Never been, nothing's been done. Not going to be done. Mr. Hicks knows where to go. Not able to walk around, but I do it. You have to do things to protect children. Okay. Another thing is, we are going to decorate 150 East Main Street. I will be decorating this week for the 29th. I won't be here, but our building will be decorated. Mary Jo knows that. Cindy already told her who does all the tending to of everything up there.
What are you decorating for, Becky?
What Becky is talking about is the March 30th, the 80 people coming from Wyoming, Colorado, and Idaho.
Okay, yeah.
We want to welcome them downtown, and so Cindy was in a meeting, Cindy Osborne from the Housing Authority, and said that she would rely on Becky to make it look nice.
Okay.
Which is not a problem. They can rely on me for anything in there, they know it. We do a breakfast once a month, homemade biscuits, sausage gravy, fried potatoes and onions, scrambled eggs with cheese and scrambled eggs without cheese. We have a meal once a month. This month we're having meatloaf, baked potatoes, fish, chicken, and other vegetables. So we're trying our best to make the seniors where I live happy. And as Cindy told Mary Jo, I am seeing that it gets done. and I'm happy with getting it done. And anything anyone has that don't need, I would appreciate if you want to donate it to 150 East Main Street to Bingo. It has to be donated and left in my name,
Okay, Becky, you got 30 seconds.
and I am done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dave?
Evening, Commissioners.
Yes.
How am I doing?
Two things. I'll make this short because it's
Can you
getting
state
late.
your name and address? for the-
Dave Fordyce, 115 Osage Street, right behind American Home and Hardware. One is I listened with interest into what you were talking about with the ordinance with adverse impact on neighborhoods, especially for abandoned buildings. Because in my neighborhood we have, I guess it used to be called the George's Hotel that's there. And I know someone that lives right next to it and has constant problems with that building, is always having to call about it. Second item was I'm inquiring about, has there been any movement on the draft ordinance for the methadone clinic situation? I will say that I've been going up and down 40 this past week, and I know there's construction activity that is occurring in Basics because I've seen it. And I was just curious if there's been any movement on that regard.
Lewis?
Right, anything about basics?
I don't know what's happening there at
I know they
this
are.
time. I believe they might have come in for, to show some new plans. I'm not certain. That would have to be directed to
Well,
Craig
the
Trostle.
activity is to removing part of the property, meet setback, I think.
They are started
That's what they're
removing.
doing.
I think that's what they're doing.
I think they could tear the entire structure down without meeting setback. I attended the zoning, and the rear setback was like 2.5 feet, and the front one was a whole lot more than that. And I read an article in the Cecil Whig the next day, where the gentleman that testified at the zoning hearing was pretty much pounding on the table in the newspaper saying, it's his God-given right to do this. Given as controversial as this project seems to be, there's been no effort to socialize it within my neighborhood. And it seems to me that's good business practice to do that. And that has not happened.
Well, the planning commission did turn him down for the,
Yes, I was
So that's
I was here for
waiting
that.
to see what he does from that point, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
I had requested, and I think I've stated this, for us to look into other ordinance in other towns, and that we just received it today, some other things to look at. And
Okay.
we will be looking at that.
All right, I appreciate it. I'm very interested in the topic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Joe? You got that?
Oh, yeah. I would like to call a closed meeting to consult with legal counsel and staff.
Or,
Would that be reconvening?
yeah,
For advice.
I guess we,
Are
okay.
you reconvening?
We're not reconvening, right?
You're not reconvening.
We're not reconvening.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one, yes, that's it. Okay, have a motion to have a closed meeting, have a motion to accept the motion.
The bill out was.
Okay, motion second, all those in favor? Carried. We will not
We
be
gotta go home and
reconvening.
get up.